The Terran Embassy's communication array crackled to life at 03:47 hours Galactic Standard Time. Ambassador Sarah Chen had been expecting this call for weeks, though she'd hoped it would never come. The holographic display flickered, revealing the imposing figure of High Admiral Korthak of the Hegemony Fleet, a 7-foot-tall reptilian creature whose scales shifted from deep purple to crimson when agitated. Right now, they were practically glowing.
"Ambassador Chen,"
Korthak's voice rumbled like grinding stone.
"The Hegemony Council has reached a decision regarding your species' continued occupation of the Kepler 442 system."
Sarah straightened in her chair, her diplomatic training keeping her expression neutral despite the ice forming in her stomach. Behind Korthak, she could see the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion's Fist, a vessel so massive it could house entire cities. Through the viewports, the distinctive blue-green marble of New Terra hung in space, home to 3 million human colonists who had spent the last 40 years building a new life among the stars. "We're listening, High Admiral," Sarah replied, her voice steady. Korthak's predatory smile revealed rows of razor-sharp teeth.
"The dark matter deposits in your system are far too valuable and dangerous for a primitive species to control. You have 30 standard days to evacuate all human presence from Kepler 442. Your people will be relocated to designated work zones in the Outer Rim, where they can contribute to the greater galactic economy under proper supervision." The words hit Sarah like a physical blow. Work zones. Everyone knew what that meant. Slave labour camps where lesser species mined asteroids and processed raw materials for their hegemony overlords. 3 million people, including families who had known no other home, reduced to chattel. "High Admiral," Sarah began carefully, "our people have established legitimate colonies under the Galactic Accords."
"We followed every regulation, paid every fee."
"The Accords apply to civilized species," interrupted another voice. Admiral Vextar of the Mantis Collective appeared on screen, his insectoid features clicking with amusement. "Your kind barely achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. You have no military worth mentioning, no technology we haven't seen before. You exist in this galaxy because we allow it." A third figure materialized, General Fiss of the Crystal Dominion, her crystalline form refracting light in hypnotic patterns. "The decision is final, human. Your ships are toys, your weapons are primitive, and your colonies are defenseless. We could turn every human world to glass within a week. It would hardly be worth the fuel." The 3 alien commanders laughed, a sound like breaking glass mixed with grinding metal. Sarah felt her hands clench into fists beneath the table, but her diplomatic mask never slipped. "We understand your position," she said quietly. "We'll need time to consult with our government." "Consult all you wish," Korthak sneered. "The countdown begins now. 30 days, Ambassador. After that, any humans found in the system will be considered criminals interfering with hegemony mining operations." The transmission ended, leaving Sarah alone in the embassy's communication chamber. For a long moment, she sat in silence, processing what had just occurred. Then she activated her secure quantum communicator and sent a priority message to Earth. "The hegemony has made their move. Recommend immediate activation of Project Shadowfall." If you're enjoying this story of humanity's hidden strength, hit that subscribe button. We've got more epic HFY content coming your way. 3 days later, Dr. Marcus Webb stood in the most secure facility on Earth, a research complex buried 3 miles beneath the Colorado Rockies.
The message from Ambassador Chen had arrived 72 hours ago, and since then the facility had been operating at maximum capacity. Around him, hundreds of technicians worked frantically at stations filled with technology that officially didn't exist. President Elena Vasquez entered the command center, her security detail fanning out behind her. She was a small woman, barely 5'4", but everyone in the room knew she had nerves of steel. During the Mars colony crisis 5 years earlier, she'd stared down a hegemony battle group with nothing but harsh words and unshakable determination.
"Status report, Doctor," she said without preamble.
Marcus's activated the central holographic display, revealing technical schematics that would have been incomprehensible to most humans just a decade ago.
"All 20 vessels are operational, Madam President. Crews are aboard and systems are green across the board." The hologram showed sleek, predatory shapes unlike anything in the known galaxy. They were roughly frigate-sized, but their hulls seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, creating an unsettling visual effect that made them difficult to focus on directly.
"Quantum phase drives?"
the President asked.
"Fully functional. We can slip in and out of normal space-time at will. Conventional sensors can't track us when we're phased, and conventional weapons can't touch us."
"And our weapons?"
Marcus's expression grew grim. "The quantum disruptors work exactly as theorized. They don't destroy matter, they convince it to stop existing. No debris, no radiation, no trace that the target was ever there." President Vasquez nodded slowly. For 15 years, humanity's brightest minds had been working on Project Shadowfall. Ever since First Contact had made it clear that humans were considered the galaxy's newest servant species. While the aliens saw primitive ships and outdated technology, humanity had been secretly developing weapons that operated on principles the galaxy's greatest scientists didn't even understand.
"How long until we can deploy?" she asked.
"The fleet is ready now, Madam President. Captain Rodriguez and her crews have been training in the outer system for 2 years. They know what's at stake." Captain Maria Rodriguez was indeed ready. At 34, she was young for a fleet command, but she'd been hand-picked to lead humanity's most secret military project. Her flagship, the UES Phantom, was currently drifting in the shadow of Pluto, invisible to all conventional detection methods. "All ships, this is Phantom Actual," she broadcast on the quantum-encrypted channel. "We've just received authorization from Fleet Command. Operation Shadowfall is a go. Set course for Kepler 442. Maximum stealth protocols." 20 ships that shouldn't exist began moving through space in ways that defied known physics. They didn't accelerate in any conventional sense. Instead, they simply began existing in different locations, sliding through folded space-time like ghosts through walls. Meanwhile, in the Kepler 442 system, High Admiral Korthak was growing impatient. His massive fleet, over 400 ships representing the combined might of 3 galactic powers, had taken position around New Terra. The human colonies were still broadcasting normal communications, going about their daily business as if nothing had changed. "They're ignoring us," Admiral Vextar observed, his mandibles clicking with irritation. "Perhaps they didn't understand the seriousness of our ultimatum." "Oh, they understood," Jenry Thiss replied, her crystalline form pulsing with amusement. "They're simply in denial. Primitive species often react this way when confronted with their own insignificance." Korthak studied the tactical display showing his fleet's positions. 400 ships, each one capable of reducing a planet to molten slag. The humans had perhaps 30 vessels in the entire system, mostly cargo haulers and civilian transports. It was like bringing a battle fleet to crush a nest of insects.
Begin demonstration bombardments, he ordered. Target their outer mining stations. Let them see what happens to those who defy the natural order. The first salvo lit up space around the system's asteroid belt. Mining platforms that had taken years to build vanished in brilliant flashes of plasma fire. On New Terra, 3 million colonists watched their economic lifeline disappear in minutes. But in the depths of space, 20 ships that didn't officially exist were watching too. Loving the tension? Drop a like and let us know in the comments what your favourite sci-fi movie is. We love hearing from fellow fans of the genre. All ships, this is Phantom Actual. Captain Rodriguez's voice was calm despite the magnitude of what they were about to attempt. The aliens have fired first. Rules of engagement are now active. Begin phase transition. Around the Kepler 442 system, reality began to bend. The 20 ships of humanity's secret fleet began sliding out of normal space-time, becoming something that existed in the spaces between dimensions. To conventional sensors, they simply vanished. On his flagship, Admiral Korthak was reviewing bombardment reports, when his sensor officer suddenly straightened in alarm. "Sir, I'm detecting unusual quantum fluctuations throughout the system. The readings are unprecedented." "Explain," Korthak demanded. "It's as if space itself is becoming unstable. I'm reading massive energy signatures, but they keep phasing in and out of detectability. It's almost like..." The sensor officer never finished his sentence. Space around the hegemony fleet began to shimmer, and shapes started materializing from nowhere. Not emerging from hyperspace or decloaking, literally phasing into existence from dimensions that shouldn't exist. "Impossible," Admiral Vextar whispered as his compound eyes tracked the newcomers. "Humans don't possess such technology." 20 sleek, predatory shapes now surrounded the 400-ship alien armada. They moved through space like living shadows, their hulls seeming to bend light around them in ways that hurt to look at directly. Captain Rodriguez opened a channel to the entire alien fleet. "Attention hegemony forces. This is Captain Maria Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Fleet. You are surrounded and outgunned. Power down your weapons and prepare to withdraw from human space immediately." The silence that followed was deafening. Then Korthak's laughter boomed across all frequencies. 20 ships against 400. Have you lost your minds, human? We are the combined might of 3 galactic empires. "You were warned," Rodriguez replied simply. "All Terran ships, weapons free. Show them what humanity is really capable of." The aliens opened fire first, a devastating barrage that should have vaporized the human vessels instantly. Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and gravitational disruptors filled space with enough destructive energy to crack a moon. Every shot passed harmlessly through the human ships. "What sorcery is this?" General Fisk shrieked as her most powerful weapons proved useless. Captain Rodriguez's response was to demonstrate humanity's new approach to warfare. "Target the flagship. Fire." A beam of what looked like liquid darkness shot from the Phantom. When it struck Korthak's massive dreadnought, the ship didn't explode or break apart. It simply ceased to exist. One moment, the Dominion's fist was there, a kilometre-long symbol of hegemony power. The next moment, there was nothing but empty space. The quantum disruptor hadn't destroyed the ship. It had convinced the universe that the ship had never existed in the first place. Panic spread through the alien fleet like wildfire. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds suddenly found themselves helpless against an enemy they couldn't even touch. The humans could phase in and out of reality at will, appearing just long enough to erase another vessel from existence before vanishing again.
All ships, evasive maneuvers,
Admiral Vextar screamed, but there was nowhere to run. The human vessels were everywhere and nowhere, striking from impossible angles with weapons that defied the laws of physics. In 15 minutes, half the alien fleet was gone. Not destroyed, simply erased, as if they had never been built. The survivors huddled together, their weapons useless, their shields meaningless against an enemy that existed partially outside normal space-time.
"We surrender!"
General Fiss broadcast desperately.
"Please, we surrender!"
The firing stopped. Captain Rodriguez's voice filled the silence, calm and professional. All alien vessels, we maintain current positions. Any attempt to leave the system will be considered a hostile act. Prepare to receive boarding parties. As Terran Marines in advanced combat suits began boarding the surrendered alien ships, Admiral Vextar stared at his tactical display in disbelief. 400 ships, the pride of 3 galactic empires, had been defeated by 20 vessels that shouldn't exist, using technology that violated everything he thought he knew about physics. How? He whispered to himself. How did primitive humans develop such capabilities? The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Marcus Webb materialized as a hologram on the bridge of Vextar's flagship, flanked by Terran Marines. You made a fundamental error in your assessment of humanity, Admiral. You saw our public technology, our civilian ships, our commercial weapons, and assumed that was all we had. But your species has only had faster-than-light travel for 50 years, Vextar protested. 50 years of knowing we were considered inferior, Dr. Webb replied. 50 years of being treated like children who needed supervision. Did you really think we'd spend that time sitting idle? While you were laughing at our primitive technology, our best minds were working on projects you couldn't even imagine. The hologram shifted to show the hidden research facilities beneath Earth's surface, the secret shipyards in the outer system, the quantum laboratories where humanity's greatest scientists had been rewriting the laws of physics. We learned from you, Dr. Webb continued. We studied your technology, your tactics, your weaknesses. And we realized that the galaxy's greatest powers had grown complacent. You'd been dominant for so long that you'd stopped innovating, stopped pushing the boundaries of what was possible. So you built weapons that exist outside normal space-time, Vextar said, his voice hollow with defeat. We built tools, Dr. Webb corrected. Tools that can be weapons when necessary, but also tools that can heal, create, and explore. The same quantum manipulation technology that powers our disruptors also allows us to phase medical supplies directly into disaster zones, to create stable wormholes for instant communication across the galaxy, to terraform dead worlds by adjusting their quantum states. This is the kind of content we live for. If you're as amazed by humanity's ingenuity as we are, smash that subscribe button and tell us in the comments what your favourite strategy game is. 6 months after the Battle of Kettler 442, the galaxy was a very different place. News of the hegemony's complete defeat had spread to every civilized world, carried by traders, diplomats, and refugees who had witnessed the impossible. Ambassador Sarah Chen now stood in the Grand Assembly of the Galactic Council, but the dynamics had fundamentally shifted. Where once representatives of lesser species had been forced to stand in designated areas while their betters sat on elevated platforms, Now every species had an equal voice in a circular chamber designed for actual discussion rather than domination. The terms of the new galactic compact are simple, Sarah announced to the assembled delegates. No more slave labor, no more forced relocations, no more treating any species as inherently superior or inferior to others. Every world has the right to self-determination. Every species has the right to develop their own technology and culture. High Admiral Korthak, now a prisoner of war aboard a Terran detention facility, appeared as a hologram, his once proud bearing reduced to defeated resignation. And if we refuse these terms, will you erase us from existence as you did our fleets? Sarah's expression was compassionate but firm. We hope it won't come to that, Admiral. But make no mistake, humanity didn't develop this technology to become the galaxy's new overlords. We developed it to ensure that no one could ever again threaten the freedom of any species, including our own. President Vasquez appeared as another hologram, addressing the assembly from Earth. We're sharing our quantum manipulation technology with any species that agrees to the compact's terms. Not the weapons. Those remain under Terran control, but the peaceful applications. Medical technology that can heal at the quantum level. Terraforming systems that can make dead worlds bloom with life. Communication networks that connect distant civilizations instantly. The offer was unprecedented in galactic history. The species with the most advanced technology was voluntarily sharing it, asking for nothing in return except a commitment to basic decency. One by one, the galactic powers agreed to sign the compact. The hegemony, their military might broken, had little choice. The Mantis Collective, intrigued by the possibilities of quantum-enhanced biotechnology, signed eagerly. Even the proud Crystal Dominion eventually agreed, recognizing that cooperation offered more benefits than continued resistance. But not everyone was happy with the new order. In the shadows of the galaxy's outer rim, a group of exiled military commanders and displaced nobles were meeting in secret. They called themselves the Restoration Coalition, and they had one goal: to overthrow humanity's new galactic order and return to the old ways of might making right. The humans are naive, General Korath, a former hegemony commander, growled to his assembled conspirators. They think sharing technology will create lasting peace. All they've done is give us the tools to understand their weaknesses. Their quantum phase technology is impressive, admitted Dr. Zektar, a brilliant scientist who had been exiled for conducting illegal weapons research. But it's not invincible. I've been studying the technical specifications they shared, and I believe I found a way to disrupt their phase states. The conspirators leaned forward eagerly. If they could find a way to force the human ships back into normal space-time, conventional weapons might be able to destroy them. How long until you can build a working prototype? Korath asked. 6 months. Perhaps less if we can acquire the necessary materials. Unknown to the conspirators, their every word was being recorded by quantum surveillance devices that existed in the spaces between dimensions. Captain Rodriguez, now promoted to Admiral and commanding the expanded Terran Defense Fleet, reviewed the intelligence reports with grim satisfaction. They never learn, do they? She commented to her intelligence officer, Commander Sarah Park. Apparently not, Admiral. Should we move to arrest them? Rodriguez shook her head. Not yet. Let them build their prototype. Let them think they've found our weakness. It'll make the lesson more effective when we demonstrate why planning to attack humanity is still a very bad idea. The truth was that humanity's quantum technology had advanced far beyond what they'd shared with the galaxy. The phase drives and disruptors used at Kepler 442 were already obsolete, replaced by even more sophisticated systems that operated on principles the conspirators couldn't even imagine. Dr. Marcus Webb, now Director of Terran Advanced Research, smiled as he reviewed the latest test results from the Titan Research Station. The new quantum entanglement drives could move ships not just through folded spacetime, but through parallel dimensions. The enhanced disruptors could selectively erase specific molecular bonds, allowing for precision that could remove a single bolt from a ship's hull without damaging anything else. But perhaps most importantly, humanity had learnt to think beyond weapons. The same technology that could erase matter from existence could also create it from quantum foam. Barren worlds were being transformed into garden paradises. Dying stars were being stabilized by quantum manipulation. The galaxy was becoming a better place for everyone. 8 months after the compact was signed, General Korath's Restoration Coalition finally made their move. They had built their phase disruptor and tested it successfully on captured Terran technology. Now they were ready to strike back at humanity's tyrannical rule. Their target was the Vega system, where a small Terran peacekeeping force was mediating a trade dispute between 2 minor species. Only 3 human ships were present. Surely even the mighty Terran defense fleet couldn't stand against a surprise attack from 50 vessels armed with phase disruptors. Admiral Rodriguez watched the coalition fleet approach on her quantum sensors, her expression calm despite the magnitude of what was about to unfold. She was aboard the UES Ascendant, the newest and most advanced ship in the Terran fleet, along with 2 sister ships that represented the cutting edge of human technology. "Admiral," Commander Park reported, "the coalition fleet is powering up their phase disruptors. They're preparing to force us back into normal space-time." "Let them try," Rodriguez replied. "All ships, prepare to demonstrate why humanity always stays 1 step ahead." The coalition attack began with a coordinated barrage of phase disruptor beams designed to lock the Terran ships in normal space-time. For a moment, it seemed to work. The human vessels became fully visible and solid, apparently vulnerable to conventional weapons. "Now!" General Korath screamed. "Destroy them!" 50 ships opened fire with everything they had. Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and gravitational bombs filled space with destructive energy. It was enough firepower to vaporize a small moon. But when the energy dissipated, the 3 Terran ships were still there, completely undamaged. "Impossible!" Dr. Zektar whispered. "The phase disruptors worked. They should be vulnerable." Admiral Rodriguez's voice filled the communication channels, calm and almost pitying. "You made the same mistake your predecessors did, General. You assumed that what you could see was all we had." The truth was that the coalition's phase disruptors had worked perfectly on the decoy projections the Terran ships had been displaying. The actual vessels had been operating in a completely different dimensional phase, one that the coalition's technology couldn't even detect, let alone disrupt. "You see," Rodriguez continued, "we've learned that the key to lasting peace isn't just having superior weapons. It's staying so far ahead of potential threats that they never even realize how outclassed they are." The 3 Terran ships began to demonstrate their true capabilities. SciFi SCI-FI Believe it. Read about. No.
Terrors.
Horse. Them. Had. Cast. Porum. Me. An Abdul Gabu in prison. That might help. A young accountant might. An electronica in the closet. That will let me speak nicer. The Terran vessels were still there, completely undamaged. They didn't just phase in and out of normal space-time. They began existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously, attacking from angles that didn't exist in conventional physics. Their weapons didn't just erase matter. They could selectively edit reality itself, removing specific components from enemy ships while leaving the crews unharmed but completely helpless. Within minutes, the Coalition fleet was disabled. Not destroyed, not killed, but simply rendered completely powerless. Their weapons were gone, their engines were gone, their life support was intact, but their ability to cause harm had been surgically removed from reality. "This is Admiral Rodriguez to all Coalition vessels," she broadcast. "You are now prisoners of the Galactic Peacekeeping Force. You will be taken to rehabilitation facilities where you'll have the opportunity to learn why cooperation is more beneficial than conquest. Your crews will be treated with dignity and respect, something you never offered to others." As Terran medical ships moved in to assist the disabled Coalition vessels, General Korath stared at his useless control panels in defeat. "How?" he whispered. "How were they always so far ahead?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Marcus Webb materialized as a hologram on Korath's bridge, his expression more sad than angry. "Because we learned from history, General. We studied every fallen empire, every defeated civilization, every species that thought they were invincible. And we learned that the moment you stop innovating, the moment you become complacent, that's the moment someone else surpasses you." "So you built weapons beyond our comprehension," Korath said bitterly. "We built a future beyond your comprehension," Dr. Webb corrected. "A future where conflicts are resolved through dialogue rather than destruction, where technology serves to create rather than destroy, where every species has the opportunity to reach their full potential." He gestured to the view screen, which now showed images from across the galaxy. Former slave worlds were blooming with new life thanks to quantum terraforming. Species that had been enemies for millennia were working together on joint research projects. The galaxy's first truly democratic government was taking shape, with representatives from hundreds of worlds working together to solve common problems. "This is what we've been building, General. Not an empire, but a community. Not dominance, but partnership. And we'll defend it against anyone who tries to drag us back to the old ways of fear and oppression." As the Coalition prisoners were taken away for rehabilitation, Admiral Rodriguez stood on her bridge, looking out at the stars. Humanity had come a long way from the primitive species that had first ventured into space 50 years ago. They had faced extinction, overcome impossible odds, and emerged as the galaxy's protectors rather than its conquerors. But she knew the work was far from over. There would always be those who preferred the old ways, who saw cooperation as weakness and diversity as a threat. Humanity would need to remain vigilant, continue innovating, and never forget the lessons that had brought them this far. The age of galactic empires was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun. And humanity, the species once dismissed as primitive and insignificant, had become the guardians of a better future for all. In the depths of space, quantum sensors continued their eternal watch, ready to detect any threat to the peace that had been so hard won. And in research facilities across human space, the next generation of impossible technologies was already taking shape, ensuring that humanity would always be ready to defend the principles they had fought so hard to establish. The galaxy was finally free, and it would stay that way as long as humans drew breath among the stars.